Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Groshin Krashevsky, and I'm the Director of Intellectual Formation at Vandal Catholic, the St. Augustine Center in Moscow, Idaho, on the campus of the University of Idaho. The first thing I want you to do before we start this video, the topic of which you can already see, of course, from the title, is go into the show notes, the description, and look at the link that I put in there. That is to vandalcatholic.com. Everything that you might want to know about what I do and the intellect department, the entire wonderful staff at Vandal Catholic, headed by our pastor, Father Chase Hasenroll, the schedule on there that lists all of the events, all the different things we're doing, all of that is accessible at vandalcatholic.com. So make sure you go and check that out. Also, if you're ever in Moscow, Idaho, and you come by Vandal Catholic, you must go to Monica's coffee shop. It's just absolutely beyond words. I consider myself a highly sensitive coffee connoisseur. I can tell from first sip how good coffee is, and it's one of the best I've ever had. So check out Monica's if you're ever in Moscow, Idaho. A little bit about myself. Some of you know who I am, some of you do not. I'm Director of Intellectual Formation. What is my background for that position? Well, I have a PhD in history, and my main focus, I always explain this, if I was a medical doctor, kind of a foot and ankle or a cardiologist or whatever, my main focus is the American South, religion in America, 19th century. But what's very, very cool is that I'm able to do, in this role at St. Augustine's, lots of different course offerings. In the past, we've offered a class on the First World War. We've offered a class on Catholicism and film, talked about a general history of Catholics in America, and just got done in the fall of 2023 talking about Catholicism and disasters. I'm the author of 3 books: the Civil War History Catholic Confederates, the novel The Holdout, and the recently published book of essays, The Hippo Lectures. I'm really excited about the Hippo Lectures, this most recent publication, because as I make this video very close to the end of 2023, this book just came out from Aruka Press in Toronto. It just came out early December, so about 2 weeks ago. And it really is the fruit of everything that we do at Catholic, Vandal Catholic Intellect. I do a monthly set of lectures, a monthly talk, from which the book takes its name, the Hippo Lectures, named after, of course, our patron, St. Augustine of Hippo. I do a monthly lecture series called the Hippo Lectures, a monthly catechetical program with our pastor, Father Chase, called Spirit and Life. Again, all this is accessible at vandalcatholic.com on that calendar. But what I want to talk to you about today is another thing that I do at Vandal Catholic, and that is offer a course. These courses are free. They are accessible to the public. They are, geared towards the college students at U of I, at Vandal Catholic, but anybody in our wonderful parish as well is welcome to come. And I want to talk to you about our offering for spring 2024, which is entitled Beauty. Okay, so beauty, description: deep looks at Catholic saints, artists, and other personalities and how they embodied/do embody the beautiful aspect of the 3 transcendentals: the good, the true, the beautiful. Also, how beauty can aid evangelization and lead people to God, who is ultimate beauty himself. And as you see below that, we list the class time. It's at Vandal Catholic, of course, like all the courses that we do, Mondays and Wednesdays, 1:30 to 3 p.m. So there's 3 hours of this course per week, divided up into 2 90-minute sections, 1:30 to 3 o'clock at Vandal Catholic. And then below that, you see my name, my role at Vandal Catholic, and of course, most importantly, my email address that you're welcome to, reach out if you have any questions, reach out for whatever purpose whatsoever, intellect@vandalcatholic.com. That description, besides being a description and therefore speaking for itself, the description also can be looked at kind of like the learning outcomes, or that which I will get from this class. So on the kind of very kind of basic, straightforward intake level, you're going to look at, and I'm about to go over that now. I'm about to go through class, 1 through 30 in terms of what we'll actually go over in some. You're going to get these deep looks at Catholic saints, artists, other personalities. But it's not just getting the information, because that's one thing. Anyone can deliver and receive a lecture that's strictly informative. It's to see these people, see these events, these things in the light of the good, the true, the beautiful. These three transcendentals are so called because it doesn't matter if someone is a believer, a non-believer, whatever cultural background they're from, whatever language they speak. These are things common to all people. Everyone can recognize, you know it when you see it, those kind of cliches, something that is good, true, beautiful. We're focusing on that latter one, because I think often as Catholics, Christians writ large, including in the different Protestant denominations, there's this often focus, whether it's with catechetics or simply talking about the faith, period, even if you're just talking to some person at a coffee shop, about the good things about the faith, about the true things about the faith. And that's well and good. That's awesome. But I think the beautiful is too often overlooked. That's your ultimate learning outcome in this class. You're going to understand, what beauty means, or perhaps we're going to look at it, a deeper, more profound investigation of the theme of beauty than you've perhaps ever had before. And if that's not the case, if you're a person who's taking this class and you're like, actually, I've always been hyper aware of the beautiful and know a lot about that subject, that's amazing. That's awesome. Would that most people be like you? Because I think people often, believers especially, will look at beauty and say, oh, this doesn't matter. It's vanity, or it's kind of superfluous, or this kind of thing. And, au contraire is my kind of argument for the class. So ultimately, 1 and 2, just looking at this informative stuff, and then under the rubric of the good, the true, and especially our third category, the beautiful, that last sentence is most important. How beauty can aid evangelization and lead people to God, who is the very form, the very kind of dictionary definition of what beauty means. God is ultimately the only one who is good, who is true, and beautiful. So that's the kind of the point of the class. The class has a kind of biographical focus, right? A biographical approach. So if you look at the class number, and then I have a genre number, and the date the class is given. So you already know it's Monday and Wednesdays, 1:30 to 3 p.m. But you look at the date, you see our first lecture is January 10th, Wednesday. Oh, then January 15th, Monday, etc. Self-explanatory. What are we looking at? We're looking at a mixed bag of people. In fact, right now, the way I have the camera set up, I have class 1 through 16. I'll show you in a second, once we get through those numbers, the back end of the lectures, and we'll talk about the genre breakdown at the end. Every lecture that we give, every focus point that we have, will be funneled into a larger genre. So you see already off the top, right? Like artist 1, Hildegard of Bingen, our first focus. She is an artist. I'm calling her an artist. Her music, specifically, her sacred music, some of the most impressive in all of human history, period. Saint Sebastian, okay, he's a saint. He's our first saint category. The Sagrada Familia, Antonio Gaudí, the famous architect. The Sagrada Familia, which has started the construction of this church in the late 19th century, is still not completed. It's very Notre Dame de Paris style of, if you want to build something proper, maybe you have to take a long time. You can't do it kind of overnight. That's our first architecture genre. With Mozart, lecture number 4 on January 22nd, we're back to our second artist, and so on and so forth all the way down. There's going to be a lot of very, very fun lectures. I hope the whole class is very fun. I say always, I love, love, love being director of intellectual formation, because it is such a fun job. I think all we do has in addition to getting work done and raising important themes, it's always fun. But I mean like fun extra. When have you ever heard a serious, and I say like the level of this class is like, upper level undergrad to / grad school. When have you ever heard a serious academic lecture about Bo Jackson? Maybe some of you know who Bo Jackson is or not. He's arguably the greatest athlete of all time. He was an MLB baseball player and NFL football player, Heisman Trophy winner. He's our first athlete category, right? Then the Emperor Trajan. Well, he's not a Catholic. Bo Jackson isn't either. Bo Jackson is a Protestant. The Emperor Trajan was a pagan. Why is he on the list? The focal points, the biographical focal points, they are all exclusively Catholics. A high percentage, 85 to 90%. But Catholicism, being universal, and this idea of beauty, speaks to the fact that often the most quote-unquote Catholic behavior can come from non-Catholics sometimes. The Emperor Trajan, as a kind of spoiler alert, was renowned for his charity, for his caritas, that love of neighbor, and taking care of the poor. So he's our first political figure. JFK is next. And look, a lot of these is JFK a model Catholic? Well, I follow the words of Christ that, judge no man. I don't want to judge anyone. I want to remove my own, the beam from my own eye before I remove my brother's splinter. I don't wish to imply with any of these people JFK, our first Catholic president, was an ideal Catholic. I'm not saying I can't judge him either way. I can't say he was good or bad. That's God's business. But he's a very famous Catholic. And as you know, JFK was renowned for being, very, very handsome. That was a kind of a thing about him, a stereotype that during the famous debate with Nixon, people that heard it on the radio, as you hear my voice now, radio style, said, well, Nixon definitely won. He had the better ideas. For better or for worse, people who saw JFK on TV were like, oh, he's very handsome and he looks calm and poised and young, and Nixon looked flustered. JFK won. This is a great time to mention the theme of beauty is in this class is actually going to be very little about physical beauty. Very little. I'm not saying physical beauty doesn't matter. I think it matters a lot. If you look at the apparitions of our Blessed Mother, the first way she's always described, this Queen of Heaven, as being strikingly beautiful. So kind of beauty and appearance matters, but we're not just talking about superficial beauty, often and most especially about the deeper beauty of the soul. But JFK, he's our first Catholic president, and he's renowned for, by many people, had that opinion that he was physically beautiful, he was attractive. Does that matter? If a person is attractive, do people trust them with more power or whatever? So none of these themes we're going to talk about are going to be in any way, I think, hagiographical. And hagiography means writing about saints, literally. Every lecture, I'm not just going to be like, wow, isn't Hildegard of Bingen so awesome? Isn't Bo Jackson the man? Isn't Ernest Hemingway so cool? That I am kind of an incurable optimist, and I do often take that approach, and I have very rose-colored glasses to things. But these are just, all these 30 themes are simply people who either were Catholic or acted in a Catholic way, often did beautiful acts. And what is the theme of beauty? How does it, more and more unveiled as we do biographical investigations of all these people? And by the end of the class, after all these 30, my hope is that last sentence, one more, I'll read verbatim, how beauty can aid evangelization and lead people to God, who is ultimate beauty himself. So that's enough, I think, about the kind of framing, just really fast with some of the people we didn't talk about. Yeah, if you're like Ernest Hemingway, Hemingway was a Catholic. Once more, I can't judge. He himself said, that he wasn't a very good Catholic, but Hemingway was a Catholic. Hemingway is one of the most beautiful writers of all time. Hemingway, on a once more, maybe a charity level, left a ton of money to fund some Catholic schools in Idaho, if I'm not mistaken. He died in Ketchum, Sun Valley area. So there's going to be a lot of surprises perhaps in this class too, and there's going to be a lot of things that are perhaps more classic, like look at lecture 9, 10, and 11, the monks, Desert Fathers, St. Moses the Black, St. Benedict, of course, inertia. That's kind of straightforward. St. Philip Neri, Saint of Joy. I mean, that's awesome, right? That seems to be kind of a very much duh. St. Philip Neri, the Saint of Joy, joy and beauty going hand in hand. We're going to have our second and third architecture lectures on February 26th and 28th, talking about Gothic and Neo-Gothic architecture in the country parish. We're going to have 2 biblical lectures. The first one on March 4th, 15th, Beauty from the Bible, Bible number 1. We go back to Athlete. 2 Father Chases featuring Philip Rivers, Mike Sweeney, and Jim Abbott. What might that be about? Well, you have to wait and see, right? Now, I think it's appropriate. Let me see if I can move the camera somehow with this, because my computer's not allowing me to. I'll just pick it up. Just do this. Yeah. I actually like that. If you're like, do you enjoy breaking the fourth wall, as it's called? And, just like, oh, he was talking and the camera was still in place. Now he just takes it and it's like found footage. I love that kind of stuff. Lecture number 17, Telecommunications, EWTN Sheen Kolbe. Maximilian Kolbe of Auschwitz fame, if you don't know, was also a prolific, quote-unquote, social media person. I'm not being sarcastic at all. In Nagasaki, Japan, he founds this magazine, this Catholic kind of periodical. He would have a 10 million subscriber Catholic YouTube channel if Kolbe was around today. Very much that beautiful idea of using the tools of modern communications, whatever it is, to glorify God. Have a bunch of artists, saints, St. Joan of Arc, we'll cover on the 25th. Very excited for 20 and 21. Catholic actors. Focus on Maud Adams, not a Catholic, but once more gave a lot of money to a Catholic convent, I believe, at the time of her death. Maud Adams, a classic actress in the 19th century, and more famously, Nicole Kidman. So we'll talk about Catholic actors. What I mean more famously, you definitely know Nicole Kidman. If there's 100 people in the room, who knows Nicole Kidman? I don't know, 85 hands shoot up. Maud Adams, nobody, maybe. Well, again, that's why this class covers the very famous, the not famous, the in-between. Our fourth lecture on architecture will be about modernity and postmodernity, and then you can read the rest kind of for yourself. At this point, if you really want to read to the end to 30, you can see that, see how we finish out the class. Our second Bible lecture, the Book of Wisdom, on April 24th. We'll talk about, of course, St. John Paul II, St. John Paul the Great. DFW is David Foster Wallace, a guy who, as the lecture title says, failed RCIA twice. What does that mean? We'll have to find out. This is what I like, though. Look at the last thing here. Genre breakdown, number of lectures pertaining to. So you come to this class, you're going to learn about beauty. You're going to get a lot of cool biographies, investigations. Sometimes it is biographical from the human level. Like lecture 19, you're going to learn all about the person of St. Joan of Arc, this very impressive woman, this very impressive saint. But often, like with architecture, it's not people. It's more of like, the built environments, themes, events, whatever. The genre breakdown is like this. I'm going to zoom in. We're going to talk about 10 artists, 9 saints, 4 architectural lectures, 3 on politics, 2 athletics, and then 2 from the Bible. And that gives you your 30 total. Okay, so thank you very, very much for watching, for listening, for a good portion of that. Let me simply conclude by saying once more, go down to the description and check out vandalcatholic.com to learn more about not just what Intellect does, but what Vandal Catholic is all about. Wishing you indeed, you and yours, a very, very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season, and Happy New Year. Take care.